All right, at this stage of the game, you're going to be applying value to a graphite value on top of the colored pencil. And before I get into that, you're just applying a light skin. And what I mean by that, I have an example here. And when applying a light skin, hold on a second. If you look at this example here, when applying a light skin, you want to show the interior lines that you created from whatever you're wedging, and you also want to get the sense of volume from value. So you want to apply value structure, and value structure basically is a light, mid-tone, core shadow, cast shadow in some cases, and reflected light. So that's going to be on forms that are round, and then forms that are square are going to, or geometric, they're going to be really simple. They're just going to be a flat plane of one tone. So for example, if the light's coming from this direction, this top plane is going to be a number 1, this will be a number 2, this will be a number 3 value, meaning this is the lightest, this is the mid-tone, this is the darkest. But you don't want it super dark, you're just putting a dusting, a light coat on this. And in order to do that, you're going to use your 4H and your 3H. You might jump up to your 2H, and depending on the type of pencils you have, for example, these Faber-Castells, this I think only starts at 2H, but they're a harder pencil than most. So they're harder than this brand. This is Staedtler, and Staedtler, this brand here starts at 4H. So I'm going to use that. And if I had these two pencils, which somehow they're missing, I would have used that. But I can't find them, so I'm going to go with my Staedtler. But if I had a choice, I would go with Faber. When you're selecting objects to apply value to, I suggest picking a simple form. For example, maybe a sphere first. And in addition to that, you can also apply value to a cuboid. So when you do apply it to a cuboid, that will kind of give you a sense of value structure that you want to apply on everything else. And everything's going to have its own version of value structure. The sphere has, if it's coming from this direction, highlight, midtones, core shadow, reflected light. This also will have that, except this top plane will be the lightest value. And there's going to be a strip here in the same fashion as the plane, the exterior plane, the vertical line. There's going to be a light value. It's going to be mid-tone. It's going to be a core shadow, and there's going to be reflected light. And over here would be kind of a mid to light value. So I'll start off with something simple like this guy here. So I'm going to start with my 4H pencil. I'm going to keep my other pencils on the side there. And what I like to do is I like to start where I know there's going to be a bit of a darker value. And I'm just applying a layer a value on top of this. Don't try to work fast. It's a slow process. And this is basically going to be the lightest tone, so that's why I'm just covering the whole entire thing here. And for this layer, I'm going to apply everything in the same direction. And then I'm going to apply another layer, and that's going to be in another direction. And every layer I apply it in another direction, whether it be just a little bit of a turn, and I can turn the paper and apply it in another direction. So right now I just put a quick tone on top of that, right? And you can see that the transparency lines are still there. That's all part of it. That's good. Right here, it's get really confusing. Once I apply value to it, you'll be able to understand what is happening. So now I'm going to go in a different direction. And every time you apply a layer, it gets darker and darker. Now, when I get around my highlight, which is going to be around here, because this is where the highlight's going to be. It's going to be kind of like a circular shape, but it's not going to be a clear, defined shape. It's going to be a gradual shift from one value to another. I'm just going to not layer right here. I'm going to leave that alone. So I'm going to continue in my angle that I was applying value in. So as you're layering, it doesn't seem like much is happening, but I have 2 layers on there, and it's a slow, again, it's a slow process. You don't want to speed it up, but you eventually want to achieve this even tone. You don't want to see a lot of mark making going on because you're just kind of slowly applying the value. And as you can see here, you can see I'm not that far from where this is. Now I can start to think about value structure a little bit more. So I'm going to go in a third direction, because I know down here is going to be my darkest. So now I'm just kind of going in the third direction. And I haven't switched my pencils yet. I'm starting to feel that this pencil is reaching its saturation point, meaning that I can't get it darker than what I have at the moment. So I'm going to switch up to another, to a 3H. I'll do that now. As you can see, 3H shows up a little bit. And if it shows up, that meaning that you can see the pencil that you're putting on there. Then that's good. So right now I'm just using my 3 and I'm layering and layering in this area right here because I know that this is the darkest, but it's going to be a gradual shift from this tone up to the lightest tone. And right now it's just so subtle that you can hardly tell. And that's why I have to put layers and layers and layers on. And just focus on this one form for now. Don't try to rush it and fill the value in all your forms and try to find a system. Take your time. In some cases, you don't even notice the value getting slightly darker when you're staring at it. But each layer you put on, it does get darker, slightly more. And you just want to slowly increase the key of the value. All right, so I think I've exhausted my 3H, and I'm going to jump up to my 2H now. This is my 2H, and if you're wondering where that is, it's right here somewhere. Also, I just noticed my hands are starting to smear my drawing, and because I'm going back and forth so many times, so I'm going to get a piece of paper and put it down. And I just continuously went in that same spot. And I'm just working it up. I'm slowly working it up in this direction. I might be able to jump up to an H, I'm not sure yet. And this is my dark down here, and this is slowly kind of getting into mid-tone about here. And this is going to be the highlight around here, and this, so I'm just going to just add a little bit of layer. My reflected light would be around here, but that's embedded in the form, so you don't really see it, so that's fine. I don't have to deal with that. What you don't want to have is these defined kind of edges that are created. Let me go back to my 4H. And you want a nice gradual shift from one tone to another. That's the goal. What I'm doing now is I'm trying to flatten out with my 4H that highlight area, because I can kind of see the striations from the pencil, so I'm just kind of trying to flatten this out. So I'm going in a different direction. I'll go back to my 2H. So you can kind of see the gradual shift. It goes from light to a darker tone. It's not super dark, it's just a darker tone, that's it. So I'm gonna go one more step darker, just one more, and that's it. I have my H pencil here. So the H is the next step up. There's not an H1, it's just H. And I'm gonna sharpen this guy. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but this does show up quite a bit quickly. So I'm trying to be cautious with it so it doesn't get too dark too fast, because once it gets too dark too fast, then I have to make adjustments all around. So I'm just trying to kind of fade this in to the existing tones without having a clear division of value anywhere. And notice how I turn the paper often, let the paper do the work. And it also allows you to get in different directions, apply in different directions, and that's going to allow you to create this nice gradual transition of value. And it's kind of meditative, just enjoy it. Don't rush it. So that's basically it. That's as far as I'm going to go right now. I might add a little bit more later. As I'm saying this, I'm not adding more right now, but I might add a little bit more later. Here, I just have to assess it, but for now, I'm going to call it quits and move on to the next, because the most important thing, I want the viewer to be able to see the interior construction lines, all that stuff. I don't want to lose that. I want that to be there. And so I'm going to move on to the next. Maybe I'll hit this guy. So when I do apply this tone here, this is going to be a light tone, so this should be darker than that. So this should just be like one quick layer of 4H, or maybe just 2 layers of 4H. So you're just going to go back and forth to these 4 pencils here, 4H, 3H, 2H, and H, and achieve that. And that's it. Don't go any darker than H. And it depends on your pencil as well. So this is what I'm getting with the Stadlers. All right, I will make more videos.